Hi friends, happy Monday. It's a Monday morning, bright and shining outside. And I'm back with a very different topic. A topic which I have never spoken on. And something, also talks a lot about my personal life, and how I think about this topic. So today's topic is really on astrology, right? And I'm going to cover three different aspects. First, do I think there is anything called as astrology? If yes, do I believe in it? And till what extent, is something that I believe in astrology, right? So let me tell you a story. So when I was a kid, I was a very rebellious and highly inquisitive child, and I would not really buy every time everybody is going to tell me something, right? So let's say my mother tells me to do something and I'll be like, why should I do this, and also extremely inquisitive, so much so that I remember I used to stand in front of the mirror for hours, really for hours, and used to question myself. So I used to look at my face, my hands, my legs, my body, and so on. And I used to question, saying that, is this me? Is this voice me? Okay, I have a name, but that's it. Like, does it end here? Or there's something else? And because of this inquisitiveness, and knowing things beyond what's being told, I started reading, right? I started doing a lot of research, and I found out a lot of spiritual content, which says about that you're not really a body but a soul, and whatever you do, your karmas actually get stored in your souls, and they never die, right? The body dies, but the soul never dies. And then we talk about the karma theory, being a part of the Hindu culture. Of course, I understand not every culture believes, every religion has a different belief, but maybe in Hinduism, we strongly believe in karmas and karma theory, and so on, right? And then this entire soul story is something that made me more and more inquisitive about these mysterious sciences, right? And then I said, okay, now I understand that I'm just not a body but a soul. What else, right? Because what's my bigger purpose in life? Like, it can't be just going to the school, meeting my friends, spending time with my family, playing, doing tuitions, and that's it. Is that the only reason why I'm born? Or there's something else, right? And what also really came to my surprise is I started noticing people's behavior, right, and their life path. I said, okay, you know what? Like, my friends and I, we go to the same school. We are going to the same tuition. We are in the same class, same teacher, similar parents, but we are different, right? We are different in terms of the way we behave. So, for example, let's say if somebody's maybe a very emotional child, somebody's extremely practical, somebody's very clever, somebody's like innocent, maybe dumb, right? But we're different, right? Why is it like that? Because obviously as a kid you have a lot of questions, right, and a lot of inquisitiveness in terms of knowing things, what's really being told to you, right? And it started from there. And then when I grew up and I was in college, because our parents always tell you to follow the straight path for obviously good reasons, with all good intentions that they have towards us. They say, okay, if you do your 10th, you score well, you get into 12th, you go, you do well in 12th, you get into engineering or your graduation, and then your masters, and life is like it's a straight path. But to my surprise, after college, I realized life is not a straight path. I met so many people who have done engineering and working in a bank. Somebody who's a CA is working in an IT firm. A marketer, an MBA in marketing, is doing HR, right? I'm not saying that, and a lot of people are not doing this out of choice. Remember, it's something that just happened to them. For example, me, I wanted to be in HR, really, and somebody in my life said, no, not HR, I think you'll do better in marketing. And I ended up in marketing. And just imagine, here I am with almost tons of years of experience in marketing. Is this destiny? Is it something which people wanted, like life wanted for me, or I wanted for myself. So many questions, right? So many questions. People get married, they get divorced, failed marriages, failed relationships, maybe somebody not able to have a child, delayed marriages, career breaks, right? Financial issues. So is life really a straight path? It's not, right? It's not. Every individual has a different path, right? And that is when I said, okay, you know what? Now that I understand that I'm not a body but a soul, there has to be something more as well. So I started doing more research. And that's when I got introduced to astrology. Astrology is a subject. And I started reading about, what astrology is, what is the meaning of a chart, placement, houses placement, individual characteristics of each planet, how they impact your life, and so on, right? The sun sign, lagna, the moon sign, and it just made me too intrigued and interesting, right? Interested to know more about this. And when I started reading, I gathered some basic information, and I said, you know what, I'm not an expert, right? I understand the basics, but I'm not an expert. So I want to know about my life now, right? I want to know about how whatever I've learned is impacting my personal life. So I started looking for astrologers, really learned astrologers. I spoke to many of them. In fact, in my own personal life, I've got really close people who have a mastery on this subject. And they started telling things about me, right? Even to some extent predictions, this entire thing of gocharas, transits, predictions, good time, bad time, all of it, right? They spoke a lot about this. And I was like, okay, I'm able to relate. So I started with basics, okay, let's say if my moon is sitting in this particular house, if I have a planet which is exalted or debilitated, what does it really mean and how it's impacting my life, right? And I started going more deeper, and I saw those combinations, right? So it's not what the astrologer is telling me and I'm just like blindly believing. Of course, as a well-educated, informed citizen of our country and as a citizen of the world, you always want to validate what everybody tells you. So I said, okay, you know what, my moon is like this, it's sitting maybe with Rahu, which is again a very mysterious planet, and I see those intense feelings, I see that intensity in me, right? So I'm able to relate. Now I looked at not just my child, I looked at people around me, right? So maybe somebody has a strong Saturn, there's a lot of hard work in their life. Somebody who has a very, very strong Venus, everything is fantastic for them, and luxury comes so easy to them, right? Compared to people who need to do hard work. So I made those relationships with the chart and the planets and what astrologer told me, and I got convinced. I said, okay, you know what, astrology exists. There is some science, something which we don't understand. Of course, I would love to see how Saturn looks. Yes, those planetary visuals are fine, but what really Saturn, how Saturn looks like, how Jupiter looks like, is not something I can ever see, right? But still, they rule us, and I started believing that they do. Now, to cover to my second point, which is so astrology, I believe. Now, till what extent is the question, right? Well, this is a really debatable topic, because honestly, I've spoken to multiple astrologers in my life, and not everybody has been able to predict 100%, right? I think that's also because astrology is a vast subject. It's so vast that maybe the astrologer himself is evolving, is learning. And it's like a science, right? It's just like medical, right? Not you believe in a doctor, you say, you start putting doctors at a place of maybe equivalent to God, but we also need to remember that astrologers are also not gods, right? They are ultimately people who are experts in their field, but maybe they also don't know a lot of things. So I would say it's an indication. It's an indicative science. It gives you a bigger picture. How much predictions and how much does it really work is a question. And I think it also depends upon the astrologer, right? It depends upon his knowledge his exposure, right? So for example, I always love quoting Sadhguru, who is really the modern guru today, right? uh, with today's generation, today's times of technology, evolution, AI, and all of it, if somebody talks about the ancient things in the ancient way, maybe I can't understand, right? Because I am a kid of today's generation, right? And maybe the kids who are born after us are like more advanced, and they are more rebellious and more inquisitive than us. So you need to communicate in the same language as they understand. Adopt the unconventional ways of predictions and astrology, right? Because then you're making sense, right? You're making sense, you're connecting with your target, your audience. And of course, at the end of the day, it's an indication. uh, Sometimes I also feel that astrologers tell you things and we don't listen. Maybe sometimes we miss those opportunities because they give you some time periods and all of that, and we just kind of miss that as well because of the lack of belief. So I would say, net, I would say astrology does exist. Just choose a person who communicates in today's language, who has unconventional ways of, bringing astrology into our lives and empowering us, right? Rather than telling us to be in queues, rather than waiting for the right time, or depending on the time per se. Maybe just asking you to empower and live a more happier life, right? So that's my personal perspective, my journey. I'm happy to hear what all of you think about astrology, because this is a very, very interesting and a highly debatable topic. I know a lot of people don't even believe in it, but there are people who do. So please, happy and open to any comment or any suggestions. And yeah, let this be a conversation format. And if you like my channel, my content, please subscribe to my YouTube channel as well. And yeah, happy Monday, happy rest of the week. Thank you so much. Have a great day. Bye bye. Thanks.